Welcome back to Bloomberg News. And as the movie itself proclaims, September is the January for fashion. September issues of fashion magazines practically reach biblical status, and at the very top of the heap is Vogue's September issue. In 2008, the world's most influential fashion magazine came out with its biggest issue ever, topping at nearly 5 pounds. And every detail of the magazine is scrutinized by the most powerful woman in fashion, Vogue legendary editor Anna Wintour. And filmmaker R.J. Cutler was there to document the making of that September issue, and he's here to tell us what it tells us about Anna Wintour herself. That movie being released tonight throughout theaters. How did you convince Anna Wintour to allow you such access?
You know, the funny thing is, all I did was ask. And I was familiar with my work. I went to her and said, I'd like to make a movie about what you do. I want to see how you do it, who you do it with. Who is this Anna Wintour we hear so much about? You know, you see versions of her throughout popular culture and movies and books. There are 2 of her on Ugly Betty. And I was wondering who the real person was. And I spent 9 months with her and her team of editors, made a great discovery in Grace Coddington, her 20-year partner, work partner, who gets into brawls with her all the time, and we made what I think is a terrific film.
And that was I thought, when I saw the film, I thought it was a creative, really interesting choice to have Grace, because you don't hear that she is in many ways sort of the yin to Anna's yang.
Exactly.
She's so behind the scenes, but very much a creative force in the creation of each issue of Vogue.
Absolutely. In fact, is so behind the scenes is Grace that the first time I saw her, she said, go away. She didn't want to be in this movie at all. It took me months to convince her, but of course, once we did, great stuff happened.
Well, there is so much public fascination with Anna Wintour. Condé Nast and Vogue, have had her at the helm for so long. And as you said it, you can make a hit film without Spielberg, you can have a tech hit without Bill Gates, but you can't make it if Anna's not endorsing you in the fashion industry.
It's an amazing thing. You know, it's hard to really think of anybody who so dominates a major industry the way Anna does, and she does, and she's done it for 20 years. You know, the world will be very different when she stops being the editor of Vogue magazine. It's a really amazing thing to see. On the other hand, she's a ferocious champion for the fashion industry, and as you see in the film, it is said she can make and break careers. We see her making a career with Cocoon, the great young designer who now people know is one of the preferred designers of Michelle Obama. But at the very beginning of his career, we were there, and you see what happens when Anna sprinkles a little fairy dust on.
And
it's amazing.
The absolute fear too, because all that power with one pen, with one view.
Yeah,
and
it's intense. It's
behind
intense.
those iconic shades, you can't even see her eyes as she's reviewing you. But Condé Nast did not have financial backing.
No financial involvement whatsoever, no editorial control. Very first time I met Anna, I said, look, if we're going to do this, I have to have complete creative control. I'll raise the money for this film. A&E Indie Films put it up, which was a great thing. And I said, that's going to be an important part of this, because if I'm not completely independent, nobody's going to take the film seriously. And she said, I get it. I totally get it. And there was never a question about it. In fact, we have a contract that says I have final cut and complete financial control. Yeah.
The ultimate editor gave you editorial control.
She did. She did. It doesn't mean she didn't give me feedback. She likes to say she made many suggestions and I ignored every one of them. But, you know, we'd have very interesting conversations.
What didn't make the film?
Well, this is the director's cut of the film. I mean, I would not change a frame of this movie, but we shot 320 hours over 8 months. So our DVD will be a wonderful collection of things that I chose not to include in the film. But there are great scenes with Anna, great scenes with Grace. There's lots of stuff with Cocoon, with Andre Leon Talley, who's such a wonderful, larger-than-life character, and a lot of the other great editors at Vogue.
Now, what did you find? Because Anna Wintour is highly scrutinized. The movie Devil Wears Prada, everyone knew was sort of a cartoonish version of her, or an impression of her. Do you think that she's scrutinized in a different way because of the industry, because she's a woman? I mean, there's been a lot of conjecture about why she's got such a presence.
Well, it is the fashion industry. It's such a public industry. And Anne, of course, is a very theatrical character, the way she presents herself. And she is inscrutable. And that's, you know, there's a certain shyness to her personality. She'd prefer kind of, I think, to be behind those glasses. But she also wields a lot of power. Fashion is such an important industry, this $300 billion global global industry that impacts so many other industries. She's in the spotlight, so people are talking about her. That's one of the reasons she's scrutinized. And she's a demanding boss. She's tough as nails. You don't run an organization like Vogue and with such success for so long and kind of command the entire fashion industry for 2 decades if you're not tough. I mean, that's what it takes. And we tend to judge our tough female bosses, our tough women bosses, in a completely different way than we judge our tough male bosses. I don't remember 60 Minutes ever getting a tough male boss on one of their shows and asking the guy if he's a bitch. Right. That's not going to happen. But that was the first question to Anna Wintour.
Are you going to go elsewhere in the corporate world? I mean, would you go beyond Condé Nast? Would you go into a GE or another icon?
Well, what I love doing is making movies about people who care a tremendous amount about what they do and are doing it as well as they possibly can under high-stakes circumstances. You know, my first film was the September issue about James Carville and George Stephanopoulos. I'm sorry, The War Room. James Carville and George Stephanopoulos when they were running Bill Clinton's first campaign. Since then, I've done a number of these films that profile these kind of extraordinary people in really high-stakes circumstances. I love doing that and hope to continue.
All right. Thank you so much, R.J. Cutler, for taking us through your lens. In the September issue, that film we were just showing you clips of, released today.